Alright, Parkwood, today we are going to be learning about our lines and spaces on our musical staff. So on a musical staff, we're going to have 5 lines and 4 spaces. So let's start by drawing our 5 lines. So we have line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, and line 5. And you'll notice I started from the bottom line. It's really important. So we're going to number our lines from the bottom up. So this bottom line is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for our spaces, we're going to look at the spaces that are between the bottom line and the top line. So we have space number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And you'll notice I'm numbering my spaces the same way that I number my lines, from the bottom up. On your own sheet of paper, take a minute and I want you to draw exactly what I've drawn here on the page. So our 5 lines, and go ahead and number your lines and spaces. If you need to pause the video to do that, that'll be just fine. Alright, before we go on, we're missing something on our staff, and it's called our treble clef. You're going to see this symbol at the beginning of most music that you see. If you are a flute, clarinet, oboe, saxophone, trumpet, French horn, or a mallet instrument. And it looks like this. I'm going to start from the top and just draw a straight line straight down. And if you're watching this with your paper and pencil, go ahead and do this as I do this. Now I'm going to start back at the top, and I'm going to draw to the right. I'm going to loop down and pass through the middle of my line here. Keep looping around, and I'm going to go to the bottom of my treble clef and just wrap around just like that. And your treble clef should look sort of like mine. When you see it on my musical staff, you'll see that the curve here wraps around that second line. And it also fits between the top line and my bottom line on my staff. For this next part, we're going to need to review our musical alphabet. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Take a second to pause the video and review these letters. Alright, so let's go ahead and place our notes on our musical staff here. And we're going to start from the bottom and work our way from the top. So let's go ahead and do our lines first. So we have our bottom line, which is E. Our second line, which is G. Third line is B. Fourth line is D. And our fifth line, or our top line, is F. Okay, so now let's do our spaces, and we're going to look at the space between 2 lines. So if we're in our musical alphabet, which note or which letter in our musical alphabet is going to be between E and G? If you said F, that's correct, because we have E, then F, then G. Okay, so now let's do our second space. Which note is going to be between G and B? If you said A, that's correct. What about between B and D? C. And between D and F? E. And you'll notice we actually spell the word face with our spaces, and we're going to have a nice fun little chant later that we'll learn. But if you notice, if I start on A and I go to the next line up, I have B, and then C, and then D, E, F. And I'm just following my musical alphabet. And you'll notice when I'm going up my staff, we're going forward through our musical alphabet. And when I go down my staff, I'm going backward through my musical alphabet. So if I were to go down, I'd start on A, and then G, F, E, and so on. So now we're going to learn our spaces chant. I want you to take your hand just like this, and you'll notice this sort of forms our musical staff. Our pinky is going to be on the bottom, and we have 4 spaces in our hand. So we're going to start with the bottom. F, A, C, E. F, A, C, E. Faces in the space. Yeehaw! Now pause the video and you try it. Alright, are you ready to speed it up? It'll go like this. F-A-C-E. F-A-C-E. Face is in the space. Yeehaw! Alright, so now that we've done our spaces chant, we need to do our line chant. So we're going to take our hand again and make our staff, and we're going to start from the bottom. We're going to go E, G, B, D, F, E, G, B, D, F, Those are the lines of the treble clef. E, G, B, D, F, So when you speed it up, it's going to look like this. E, G, B, D, F, E, G, B, D, F, Those are the lines of the treble clef. E, G, B, D, F, Another way that we can remember our lines is if we start from the bottom, it spells out every good boy does fine. And if you just think, every good boy does fine, that's how I remember my lines. And that always helped me when I was your age in the 6th grade. Alright, Parkwood, so that is it for our lines and spaces. You have 2 assignments to take care of this weekend. The first one is we want to see your lines and spaces chant. We want to see that you are rocking it and that you are ready to roll next week. So go ahead and send your teacher a video, and our emails are right there below that first assignment. If your teacher is Mr. Frimmer, go ahead and send it to that first email. If your teacher is Mr. Woodrow, send it to the second. And if you take with Mr. Woolhouse, so you are a saxophone, clarinet, or a flute player, go ahead and send it to me. Also, assignment number 2, go ahead and be ready to label your lines and spaces with note names during your next class. So we want to know that you really understand where all those notes are. So please be ready for that as we get ready to start reading music. Have a wonderful afternoon. Talk to you later. Bye.